Welcome, everybody, to another in a series of Federal Way Symphony podcasts that we use as a means of preparing you for our upcoming concert. I'm very pleased today to welcome as our guest our principal flutist, Kate Mondragon, who very graciously agreed to be our soloist for this program. I was the one who pitched the idea of doing a very small bouquet of American works for flute and orchestra. Kate very graciously agreed. And I know that one of these three works that I pitched is new to Kate, whereas the others are works that she's had in her repertoire for a while. So, Kate, tell us a little bit about your take on these three works, how they're similar, how they're dissimilar, what it's been like to work on all three of them at once, what you've discovered. Take the floor.
Well, as you said, the Griffiths and Hanson, I first started working on about 20 years ago. So they've been in my repertoire, and very excited to start working on them again. It's always fun to come back to a piece after you haven't worked on it over a long time, just to see what ideas are different, that I'm going to approach the piece differently. So that was fun to bring these pieces back out. I've taught the Griffiths to students over the years, but the Hanson I actually haven't done much with since I first started learning it. And then the Kubik, it was a different experience for me, because usually the first thing, at least I do, when somebody says, let's play this piece, I'm like, great, I go listen to it. And see, not that I listen to it once and then I bring my ideas to it. You don't want to replicate a performance or anything. But this piece, there's no recordings. I had a piano score and my part, so I could kind of see how my flute part was going to fit over the orchestra, but I really wasn't sure of what those tonalities were going to be. My very remedial piano skills helped, and I actually had a friend kind of plunk through a little bit for me, and she was very gracious to do that, but it was a little bit of a mystery. And so it was a fun project to kind of shape the flute line, and then when I got to put it together with you on the piano, it was so wonderful to hear those chords come to life and hear what the orchestra would be doing underneath. The three pieces, I think, are a fantastic representation of 20th century American flute playing. When you listen, when the audience will hear these three pieces together, they have they use a very linear melody. It's always looking forward. There's moments of horizontal movement, but it's always very linear, transparent. And I think it's a really nice representation of American flute repertoire.
I personally find all three of these pieces very romantic. That said, there are three very different kinds of romanticism. There's the mysterious impressionistic romanticism of Griffiths, the all-out romanticism of Howard Hanson. He said his favorite and most, the composer that he said influenced him the most was Sibelius. And you can hear it even in the miniature works as well as the full-blown symphonies. David Diamond, another great American composer who was a student at Eastman for a while, once said that Howard Hanson used to say to him, "David, you have to be such a modernist." Hanson was committed to tonality, to all-out romanticism, and that's written all over his serenade. And then there's the Kubik, which is almost a kind of a removed kind of romanticism. It's sort of like, yes, it has a lot of heart, and yet at the same time there's a coolness to it that I think provides, since we're doing it right in between the Hanson and the Griffiths, I think it provides a nice buffer.
Yeah. There's moments, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but there are moments when I'm playing the Kubik and I have flashes of the Copland duo. There's some tonality in just his use of rhythm and open intervals that I just I'm like, oh, that sounds a little bit like Copland to me, which is kind of fun.
Yes, I think for people whose heads immediately, when you say American classical music, if they immediately go to Appalachian Spring and the Billy the Kid, the wide open space kind of Americana, certainly the Kubik will most meet that qualification in their ears.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the Griffiths, I mean, people compare, it's much more impressionistic, kind of leans towards the WC and Ravel colors throughout, but puts the American spin on it.
Yeah, he's always been on the verge of a revival. His music has never, he died tragically young and he didn't leave us with that much music, but his music has always kind of been there waiting to get let in. My two favorite pieces of his are the one that we're doing, the poem. And do you know his symphonic poem, The Pleasure Dome of Kubla Khan? Absolutely amazing 10-minute piece for orchestra with a sonic palette that almost rivals Ravel's Daphnis and Chloe. It's an amazing piece. And in the present work, in the poem, the accompanying orchestra is very, very small. It's strings, two horns, and two percussionists playing, I think, maybe four instruments between them. But the variety of color that he gets from this small aggregate of players is nothing short of miraculous. He had a beautifully acute ear for sonority.
Yeah, and I think all three pieces really demonstrate that, breadth of range and color that the flute can get, really, like I referred already, transparent and, haunting melodies, very thin, to, richer and full, and, it gives you all the gamut. And I think all three pieces, even in their very unique way, show, let the flute demonstrate all those different colors within them.
A lot of people who know my background, such as it is, know that I'm an ex-flutist myself. I started college as a flute major, and then about 2 years in, as one of my friends ruefully put it, I went to the dark side and started conducting.
The audience is going to love, even they're, like you said, bringing the romanticism. Even when people see 20th century, sometimes they can be a little standoffish, but I think these pieces are very romantic in nature and very tonal, and they will come away humming the main melodies of the piece.
You're not going to play any multiphonics or sing into the flute or anything like that.
Those are fun, but not this time.
Well, I wonder if you'd mind giving us just a few short glimpses of what it is that people are going to be hearing, albeit without the orchestral accompaniment.
Here's a little bit of Hansen. And then Hansen, we get that melody, it comes through, and then in between there's all these exciting runs and the orchestra's doing all their thing. But should we just save that for the concert?
I think so. We don't want to give too much away.
Yeah. Now, poem, there's one main melody that continues through, but the audience will get a few different sections to hum along, but I will play two contrasting, the main theme that the orchestra and the flute start out with, and then going to this much more lively kind of rolling theme. And then for a little contrast.
Yeah, since we're filming on St. Patrick's Day, I think that the fact that that's very jig-like is very appropriate.
It is.
We mentioned that we're going to keep the Kubik a surprise. This is one of the few times in my life where I actually get to conduct music by a composer with whom I'm personally acquainted. Gail was a very good friend during the last couple of years of his life. He passed away back in 1984, I believe it was. He was only 69 years old. And I know that a lot of people have very traditional ideas about what composers are. They usually think of them like Beethoven, pacing his floor at 3 a.m, ripping out his hair, wondering why inspiration didn't come. And Gail was the antithesis of the typical composer. He was a sweet, down home, no nonsense guy. He was born in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, and the first night I met him was when he was lecturing about his life and career. And we've all heard very, shall we say, long-winded and or pompous and or boring people talking about themselves. And he was just lovely as could be. I noticed that there was in his catalog of works that you could find in Grove's Dictionary, this nocturne for flute and piano. And I asked him about it. He said, oh my gosh, it's been out of print for years and never was played that much. But he said, I have a spare copy. And he sent me a spare copy of his score. And I loved the piece and have been longing lo these many years to bring it to the public. And when Kate said yes, I said, well, by golly, I'm going to take this flute and piano piece, I'm going to orchestrate the accompaniment, and it can finally be heard. I mean, it occurs to me now, thank you for saying what you did about the accessibility of these three pieces. The whole concert is made up of composers who were beautiful melodists, Haydn, Dvorak, these three pieces, and then we're ending with Schubert's Fifth Symphony, which is just one of the most delicious symphonies from the early Romantic period ever written. So
it is.
I cannot thank you enough for undertaking these three works, and I think we'll have the audience at your feet.
It's going to be fun. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Kate, for taking part in this little video. Just a reminder that our concert is taking place on Sunday, April the 16th at 2:30 p.m. Hoping that you can all join us for this concert of great music spanning 3 centuries. And also, for those of you who may not know it, this is our 40th anniversary year, and we're going to be having a little champagne reception before the concert, starting at 1:30 in the lobby. And I'm going to be there pressing the flesh, as they say, for about half an hour before I have to disappear backstage and go into pre-concert mode. But we hope you'll join us to celebrate not only by attending our concert, but by meeting your friends in the audience. And possibly if you have anything that you want to say to me about the concert upcoming or concerts that you've heard, that would be great. Please come, join us for the music and for a spot of champagne as well.